Are getting a little bit better, and by that I mean at least you don't need to wear one of these the next time you're going into the education building. Have an eye overhead at the entrance to the education building just in case something falls off. That massive concrete mural, artwork on the facade.
As a precautionary measure over each entrance to the building, we've put like basically a wooden porch and canopy, just so that when people are going in and out of the building, if something should fall off, that at least the patrons of the building are protected.
Rain is a problem too. In some cases, it travels all the way down to the underground tunnels. Rain also pours in through the exterior wall at an entrance to the main science building. It's not just an eyesore, it's a potential safety hazard. And to keep it from raining on people, staff jerry-rigged these temporary chutes made of plastic and duct tape over 3 years ago.
The old adage about putting a bucket under a leak, well, that's exactly what this is, but on a much bigger scale, obviously.
And that's the tip of this infrastructure iceberg. On the education building, for example, the curtain wall, the bricks, the windows, the framing need replacing. The optimistic estimate, $25 million. The chemistry physics building needs the same makeover. And on the way to see MUN's president, you will see in the Arts and Administration building plastic covering cracks because it's too expensive to fix because of the asbestos in the plaster.
It's a temporary fix until the permanent fix obviously would be to shut down this area and scrape all the walls and get the plaster material off and put a different coating on there.
Memorial says it needs roughly $500 million to fix all of its maintenance problems. So what it's doing for now, it just takes the money out of other budgetary items and uses that for the temporary fixes, which is not enough to get close to the condition that it would like to see its facilities in. Cease here, CBC News, St. John's.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Advanced Education, Gerry Byrne, is still questioning whether Memorial is being completely transparent about the university's spending.
Answer to most questions when there's disagreement: disclosure, transparency. I have asked Memorial University of Newfoundland, I've asked its administration, its Board of Regents, I've asked the university to look very, very hard at its own expenses, but also to describe to the public, if it feels and it has confidence, there's absolutely not a dollar further that can be cut. Show it.
Now, Gerry Byrne has plenty more to say on the situation involving MUN. We'll have my interview with him in about 20 minutes. Still with the Liberals, the province is having to justify yet another questionable appointment to the senior ranks of the public service. Here Now has learned that a former vice president of the Liberal Party and co-chair of its 2015 election campaign has a new job. Jamie O'Day is now the Director of Pharmaceutical Services with the Department of Health. O'Day was temporarily appointed to the management level position this week without any competition. The minister denies this was politically motivated.
This is an example of us needing a skill set. We need someone with clinical trials experience in the pharmaceutical world. She has that. She has experience in oncology. We need that for PCODA, the federal provincial cancer drug purchasing system, and she has managerial experience. She's on a temporary secondment from Eastern Health. She brings skill sets we don't have in the department and need in a fairly short order, and she will be able to take that experience back when she repatriates.
Haggie said there was no time to hold a competition for the job, which pays just under $89,000. He also said the position was vacant for weeks, but wouldn't say why it became vacant.
Well, a 16-year-old is facing many charges after a short police chase and a spectacular crash in Mount Pearl this morning. Police say the Mount Pearl teen fled from this collision on foot, but was eventually arrested. Here Now's Mark Quinn explains.
Police say the driver of this car was seen speeding on Ruth Avenue around 7:30 this morning. An RNC officer turned on his emergency lights and siren and chased the car, but police say the pursuit was too risky, so it was called off. Moments later, this sedan collided with this pickup. It happened here at the intersection of Smallwood Drive and Commonwealth Avenue. The pickup's driver was taken to hospital. Police say his injuries weren't serious. The 16-year-old driver of this car ran from the crash but was stopped by police. The front end of his car was destroyed, but police say the driver wasn't seriously injured. The teenager was a novice driver with a suspended learner's permit. Police say he'll be charged with dangerous operation of a motor vehicle causing bodily harm, flight from police causing bodily harm, and resisting arrest. The RNC say it's too soon to say if an outside force will investigate the police pursuit. Mark Quinn, CBC News, Mount Pearl.
Labrador Grenfell Health is launching an investigation into ambulance response times after a CBC story revealed lengthy wait times in Happy Valley Goose Bay. It takes about 15 minutes to drive from one side of town to the other, but some patients have waited an hour for first responders to arrive. Here now's Katie Breen has our story.
Drive from the ambulance bay to where Louis Montague fell down the steps, and in these conditions, it clocks out at 12 minutes. But the family waited 5 times that for medics to arrive.
Finally, they showed up and took him to the hospital, but it was a full hour waiting.
Her father had suffered a stroke. That's what caused him to fall. There was bleeding on his brain and in his brain.
No, it's not okay. It's not okay for anybody to have to wait for an ambulance that long. I mean, the town is too small for that.
They waited that hour outside in late November. The family thought about driving him to the hospital themselves, just 4 minutes away, but they were afraid moving him would cause more damage. Their father died just 2 weeks later.
If the ambulance could have got there quicker, maybe something could have been done more, but we just don't know.
You think this would have been where the ambulance and the medics waited the day the Louis Montague call came in, but that's not the case. The ambulance sits in a garage at the end of town, and medical first responders aren't stationed with it. Instead, when a call comes in, they have 10 minutes to drop what they're doing, drive to the garage, and go. That's a standard in the province for private ambulance operators. Medics are supposed to hit that 10-minute time frame 90% of the time, but they supply the times themselves on the forms that are used to calculate what they're paid. And now the health authority is questioning the quality and the reliability of the information that's being provided.
It's a concern, it's a public concern, and in some cases it could result in a matter of life and death. If a person is waiting anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour for ambulance service, then there's something terribly wrong with that situation.
While Labrador Grenfell Health investigates the current pen and paper system, Councillor Pomeroy says the town plans to meet with the health authority. They're also looking at finding a more central location for the ambulance bay. Labrador Ambulance Services Limited hasn't returned CBC's request for comment. Katie Breen, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
Well, the Justice Minister says the salary budget for the Chief Medical Examiner's Office is not being cut this year. Government financial estimates show that the salaries there would drop by $80,000 this year. Last month, Justice Department officials confirmed that number to CBC News. They said that because a second pathologist in the office moved to another job, that's the reason for the reduction. But Justice Minister Andrew Parsons says things later changed.
At the time, it was because our part-time pathologist, Dr. Dennick, had indicated that he was leaving the position. He had been at 50%, so the money would have been subtracted accordingly. The fact is, though, that we found out from the Department of Health after this had already been done that he actually was going to be working 25% of the time. So when you add in, that money will be reabsorbed. We're going to be dealing with health. There's some budgetary stuff done there. But when you actually look at the budgetary amount is actually $556, so there actually is a small increase this year in the CME budget.
Homelessness in this province is a complex issue that's on the rise with no easy solutions. After yesterday's homelessness report, the head of Choices for Youth says he's glad the issue is getting attention. Here now's Jen White has our story.
Advocating and continuing to push.
Sheldon Pollitt says Choices for Youth works with about 1,100 at-risk youth each year. He says that number is growing.
Many of our young people, you have to realize, are still trying to replace the families that they've lost. And I can't tell you how important that is. If you come to Choices for Youth, you're coming because in a lot of cases you have nowhere else to go. That's far too many young people in our community suffering under those conditions.
Yesterday's homelessness report gave a snapshot of the issue. The point-in-time count showed that on one night last fall, at least 38 young people between the ages of 16 to 24 experienced homelessness. 22 more were in support of housing.
No one wants to be living day to day as much as the perceptions out there that young people just don't want to follow the rules, and this is not an easy life, right? So one of the challenges we often put to people is when you're thinking about young people choosing to be homeless or choosing to be in this circumstance, I guess the easiest way to put it is imagine how different your life would have to be where this is the choice that made sense.
The report showed almost half of those surveyed had involvement at some point with Child Protection Services. About a third had lived in foster care or group homes, and half the respondents who lived in those situations became homeless less than a year after leaving.
The child apprehension rate in this province has gone up 60% in the last 8 years. Where do you think that leads us when you, down the road, 16 years later, when those children are entering these systems?
Pollitt says prevention and supports are key, and that groups and different government departments have to work together on new solutions.
Everyone talks about the siloed approach in government. We keep taking that approach. We're going nowhere fast. And I think one of the pieces for me is more of what we already know doesn't work will never be the solution to complex problems.
The Child and Youth Advocate received the report yesterday and will take the rest of the week to dig into the numbers to see what they actually mean. Meanwhile, Sheldon Pollitt says End Homelessness St. John's is working with the province to develop a housing plan, and a specific part of that will deal with homeless and vulnerable youth. Jen White, CBC News, St. John's.
Now we have more from Sheldon Pollitt on this tonight. In 40 minutes, he'll talk more about the troubles some people in St. John's are facing.
There's an alcohol recall to tell you about tonight. The Newfoundland and Labrador Liquor Corporation says a batch of Bombay Sapphire gin is unsafe and could cause serious illness. The label says the bottle contains 40% alcohol, but the actual alcohol content is 77%. People can return the 1.1 liter-sized bottles for a refund.
Wildlife officials are calling the circumstances surrounding the shooting of a black bear very unusual. It happened in December in the isolated areas of Orma Lake and Sail Lake, about 150 kilometers north of Churchill Falls. A bear's den was set on fire. That forced the animal outside where it was shot. Hunting season ended in that area in November. Officials say to force a bear out of hibernation is very odd and disturbing. Charges are possible.
Well, residents of Georges Brook Milton are going to the polls soon. People who live in the local service district in eastern Newfoundland will vote on whether to become a town or not on May 23rd. A recent feasibility study said the LSD could make the move to become a town if it wanted to. Some local people support the idea because towns have more access to provincial funding than local service districts.
Well, St. John's Pride is welcoming back officers in uniform. The group says it consulted with minority organizations and the police before making the decision. Last year, the organization asked all off-duty officers to wear street clothes to make the event feel accessible to everyone. This year's decision has drawn some ire, with people complaining about the police handling of minority groups. Others were concerned with the list of controversies surrounding the RNC.
Schools across Corner Brook are talking about mental health all this week. I'll tell you what 2 9-year-olds think about mental illness. That's coming up.
Well, and just when you thought spring had arrived, have a look at what parts of Labrador woke up to this morning. We'll have more Sprinter later in the program.
This weather update is brought to you by the Take Charge Business Efficiency Program. Over 400 businesses have saved energy and taken charge of their bottom line. Find out how you can too.
Welcome back, everyone. But before we get to the weather, we want to tell you about this story. It involves impulse buying that turned a St. John's couple into instant millionaires.
Yeah, so Ron Brocklehurst and his wife Bonnie were handed a $1 million check this morning. It seems Ron was leaving a store last weekend when he saw a flashing 649 sign, so he went back and bought a ticket. Well, on Sunday morning, he checked those numbers, and yeah, there was a bit of yelling and screaming when he realized that he had a winner on his hands.
And Ron shouted out to you and said that you guys had won $1 million. What did you think?
Well, actually, I was in the bath, and I said, "What's the commotion? What's going on out there?" And I heard Ron say, "I think I just won $1 million." I didn't believe it really right away, but I do now.
Great stuff, and congratulations. You know, in the segue to weather, I guess we could say that Happy Valley Goose Bay didn't win the weather lottery over the last 24 hours. As you see, I mean, May snow isn't super rare in this province, and especially not in Happy Valley Goose Bay, but when you wake up to this on May 3rd, not exactly a welcome sight. And thanks to Big Land B&B for sending this picture along. 18 centimeters in Happy Valley Goose Bay. And counting. It's still not quite done yet. And, you know, when we talk about 18 centimeters in Happy Valley Goose Bay and temperatures into the teens across the Northeast Avalon for this afternoon, yeah, we've had a little bit of everything across the province for today. Temperatures did peak almost into the double digits along the west coast, but an onshore flow has knocked those temps back, and we did get into some double digits across central northeast parts of Newfoundland as well, courtesy of that southwesterly flow. Now, all the warnings have been dropped to the south, but we still are hanging on to the special weather statements for the north coast in Nain, Hopedale, and down towards the Makkovik-Postville region, where we're looking at, by the time things are said and done, 15 to as much as 25 or 30 centimeters on the northern edge of this system that is rolling out into the Atlantic over the next 24 hours. Still looking at some scattered showers across the island through tonight and through this evening, then a bit of a break, but then the cold front comes through, and that cold front will certainly be bringing more shower chances with it. And here's how it plays out. Note Thursday morning, best shower chances will be along that south coast. Look at the snow that continues along the coast of Labrador. That cold front slides through across the island, bringing increased shower chances for central and east into the afternoon and evening hours. And that switch to a west-northwesterly flow with a bit of a cool down in behind, certainly for Thursday night. But temperatures are on the rise again as we move into Friday, as this area of high pressure moves in, brings us a little more in the way of some spring sunshine and winds with a more favorable shift. Here is how things will play, and we'll talk about that in your long range. Here's how things will play out by the time we get to Thursday morning. Again, shower chances from Corner Brook to Port aux Basques and across to the Burin. I think that is our best chance of showers for the early morning hours. Still quiet in St. John's into central. Temperatures in that anywhere from +3 to -2 range, but a quiet and for the most part bright start. Happy Valley Goose Bay will start near the freezing mark. I'll back that up one more time and show you that, yeah, although we start with sun and cloud in the east, we'll see mainly cloudy skies into the afternoon, that chance of showers for St. John's, and then note that wind shift into the evening hours tomorrow. And so it's everywhere from the southern shore to Metro to the Conception Bay North area. Clarenville, Bonavista will start with sunshine tomorrow. The clouds thicken up and those showers into the afternoon. Winds will stay southwest for the most part and then shift to northwest through the commute home time, supper hour, and into the early evening hours. Central Newfoundland, again, most of the shower activity will be to the south over Harbour Breton, but we are looking at the chance of some scattered showers. Grand Falls, Windsor, Gander, Terra Nova towards the Bay of Exploits. Best chance of showers, even some wet flurries in the morning for the west coast, clearing into the afternoon. 6-7 degrees on the menu up through the Humber Valley, Grossmorn. For the Northern Peninsula, southeastern Labrador, a bright start, but note the wraparound showers and even some wet flurry chances into the afternoon. For you folks, the snow will slowly but surely taper off through the day tomorrow, becoming lighter, a little more flurry action in the mix. +4 in Happy Valley Goose Bay, 1 with a scattered risk of flurries in Labrador City. That's your forecast. Long range details are still ahead. Peter?
Well, schools across the province are marking Mental Health Week by teaching students about mental illness and self-care. Children at the high school and elementary levels are learning what mental health means in very different ways. That's the story Here and Now's Colleen Connors has tonight from Corner Brook.
Schools across Corner Brook are talking about mental health this week, and teachers are trying to find new ways to get students to open up and talk about their mental health.
Lunch hour licks and kisses from these therapy dogs helps high school students cope with stress.
They're just really nice and sweet, and they're just calming.
For teens at this school, mental health and mental illness are common terms.
You're trying to take care of it, or sometimes you can't take care of it, and it starts to get worse and worse to the point where you have clinical depression, you have clinical anxiety, and sometimes it can even get worse to the point of PTSD. But stuff where we get it out there and we get people aware of it, it can help people be less ashamed of saying, I have anxiety.
But for this age group, the term mental health is new.
Like, some people have mental illnesses. That means they have almost like a sickness in their mind.
And when I say the word mental health to you, Landon, what do you think it means?
It means like eating healthy foods and doing good exercises. And at first I thought it was like exercising your brain, as in doing math and stuff like that.
Children are learning that mental health is not about learning a tough math equation, but about taking care of yourself. They are just trying to get a sense of it all through movies, games, and presentations on exercise and good eating habits. Some younger students have never heard of mental illness before.
Well, I think when I'm eating pancakes, I might not put as much syrup, but like, I'm already basically doing what I need to do. The only thing is I dump lots of syrup on my pancakes because I can't resist only putting a little bit.
Me either, Landon. Guess I'll have to keep working on my good eating habits. Meanwhile, both schools will continue promoting self-care through yoga, meditation, and expert presentations all this week. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
Well, coming up, we ask Minister Jerry Byrne what it's going to take to end his spat with Memorial University.
It seems the controversy over Memorial University's budget isn't going away anytime soon. MUN is taking criticism from all sides, students, faculty, and particularly from the minister responsible, who's been highly critical of Memorial's administration. I spoke with Jerry Byrne on the campus earlier. Minister Byrne, this seems to be an all-out feud between government and Memorial. Why are you blasting them in such a public way that we haven't seen very often before?
No, it's not an all-out feud. It's a serious debate. It's, reconciling, I think, ideas about accountability, about transparency, and making sure that all stakeholders, not only the government, but the people and the students, have a fair say in the institution itself, respecting the autonomy of the university. Now, I have to reconcile something here. It was the university that chose. There was a disagreement that the university had with the use of certain statistics that were supplied by the university to Statistics Canada and to an organization called the Canadian Association of University Business Officers. But those statistics were being provided by the university and stated publicly. The university, Debbie, chose a certain path, not to bring me aside or to ask me or to intervene with me directly. They chose to bring up a disagreement that they had with the use of those statistics at a special meeting of the Senate. I was never ever confronted or no suggestion was ever given to me that maybe we need to sit down and talk about this. The university very, very uniquely and rarely actually challenged the minister first.
The university has said, though, that they haven't provided any wrong numbers. The agency that reviews their finances have also said that their numbers are correct. Without going down this rabbit hole of the finances and everything, it seems like this is almost a personal
no, not at all,
debate
Debbie.
You're having.
What the university has said, the university said they have been complacent in providing some of the descriptions to those numbers to that agency. They said that they may need to restate $55 million in expenditures that they reported to that agency and put it in a different format. They stated that, for example, $29 million of salaries of physicians associated with the medical school really should not have been recorded as research and academic activities. Of the $29 million, the university said now they really should have only recorded about $5 million, and $20 million needs to be restated as public health care spending, and the Marine Institute needs to actually up their student numbers by 1,000. So these are not semantics. This is really the only source of information public decision makers have to be able to make informed decisions about the finances of the university are the university's own financial statements and this data, which the university now says they need to restate.
Okay, Minister, so you've got this issue, obviously, with the finances. You've also got an issue with what you see as a culture of entitlement. You've referenced $700 dinners. I mean, how bad do you think it is here?
We need to know exactly what happens at Memorial University of Newfoundland in terms of full disclosure. We asked MUN a very straightforward request. We said, could you please consider your discretionary spending before you ask students to pay more, before you come to taxpayers and ask taxpayers to pay more? Could you first, before raising your revenues, could you consider examining your expenses and lowering your expenses? They came forward and said, as Noreen Goffman has pointed out, they have no discretionary spending that they can consider because there is no discretionary spending. There is nothing left to cut.
Noreen Goffman has accused you, Minister, of spin in a blog post. Do you think that's what's happening here now?
Do you recall that's not the first time that Noreen Goffman has done that? She said that last year the cuts were, too onerous for the university to take, and certain characterizations that were made. Noreen Goffman has said that I am Trump-like. I am not Trump-like. I am not trying to build a wall around the university.
And there's no spin on your behalf here?
I'm using information that was provided by Memorial University to Statistics Canada to examine the university. The university has come back and said and reported to its own Senate that based on the information that was available to the minister and to his department and to all stakeholders of this hallowed institution, that the interpretation, the presentation that I made was absolutely correct.
In the bigger picture, this calling out of the administrators and how they've handled things, how badly do you think the reputation of Memorial is being impacted?
This is a disagreement. This is a debate of ideas. This is about an administration issue. This is not fundamental to the reputation of the institution. This is fundamental to the administration of the institution. And if we cannot have a debate about such an important issue in terms of administration and finances, this is not as strong as an institution as it needs to be. I am confident it is. We can withstand a debate on ideas.
And that, of course, is Advanced Education Minister Jerry Byrne, our chat this afternoon. There's one note to add to this. Byrne tells us he wrote both the president of MUN and the chair of the Board of Regents asking for a meeting to talk about the university's finances. So this story is far from over. We'll keep you posted on what happens.
Fort McMurray 1 year later. After the break, we check back in with one Labradorian who was one of the thousands who had to get out of town fast when a vicious wildfire consumed the community a year ago today. It was a year and a half ago today that people in Fort McMurray were forced to flee as wildfires ripped through the town. For some, rebuilding has been hard. For others, well, they've been more lucky. Cavell Dumaresque is originally from Labrador, but she lives in Fort Mac, and that's where we've reached her. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, it was about a month that you were out of your house in Fort Mac. What was it like when you actually came back?
It was very surreal. It was very emotional. When we came down over Beacon Hill in Fort McMurray, the infamous bridge there now with the first responders and the Canadian flag was there. That was and still is very emotional when I think back on that.
And when you came back to your condo, what was the situation that you were facing there?
I was one of the lucky ones. My condo was untouched, no smoke damage. I had the vent closed off, I had the windows closed. So it was like I had left it. Dishes still in the sink that were ready to be put away, and a banana on my counter that had turned into a little black pencil. But other than that, everything was fine.
What was it like then when you talk to other people in the community or when you see other people who weren't as lucky? How does that feel, knowing that you were spared when so many others weren't?
There is a bit of survivor's guilt there. You want to be compassionate, of course. You have to listen, but it's very hard to listen to colleagues who are still not in their homes, colleagues who've lost their homes, and are struggling in some cases with insurance to get those homes back or to get themselves back into the home. So it's very hard to feel. I feel bad for them. I struggle with them. I feel frustrated because you feel so helpless. It's just a waiting game at this point. But at the same time, my life went on regularly. So it's hard to watch that. And it still is hard to watch that.
And on this 1-year anniversary, what for you is the strongest memory? What are you thinking about today?
What others did for us on May 3rd, May 4th, May 5th, and so on. Again, very emotional. The drivers who came up from Edmonton with gas for people who were stuck on the road. The people filling up their carts in Sherwood Park with Pampers and baby wipes and toiletries in the Walmart doing that. The ladies who had organized hotel rooms full of toiletries and baby clothes and clothes for everybody, and to just come in and take what you need. That still rings very true. It's amazing how good people were to the people of Fort McMurray for the total duration. Hotel people who gave good rates, stores in Edmonton and area who gave discounts and such. And then when I got back to Halifax, where my family is, the stores who were taking funds for to support the Red Cross, who were supporting Fort McMurray. It is amazing what the Canadian people did for the people of Fort McMurray.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your memories with us today.
You're very welcome.
Well, you wouldn't say it if you looked at the calendar, which does say we're supposed to be well into spring. But in Happy Valley Goose Bay, that is not the case. People there grudgingly pulled on their winter boots today as they woke up to a heavy snowfall. Jacob Barker probably has the least coveted job for us tonight out in the snow. So Jacob, what is it like there now?
Yeah, well, waking up this morning, it was a little bit like deja vu. Looking out the window, it wasn't the dusty sand that everybody was complaining about yesterday. We had the same complaints we've had over the last few months here in Labrador. Ground was covered by snow. Our coveted lawn here in front of the office in Happy Valley Goose Bay disguised again. Yeah, by noon there was 20 centimeters that had already fallen. Here's a bit of what people had to say when I went out to talk to people about it.
Didn't see this coming, eh?
No, horrible.
Yeah.
Don't like it at all.
Start winter all over again.
I know. Did you expect this in May?
No, not in May. No. And plus the skidoos go around too in May. Yeah.
Do you like it?
No, it's too no. Not in May. A couple past few days ago we were wearing sneakers.
How are you finding getting around in this?
Yeah, by walking around, get splashed on by cars and trucks. Yeah. Yeah.
That's no fun, hey?
That's no fun, no.
a last taste of winter, I suppose.
I hope so.
Yeah, so not a very warm welcome to the snow that decided to come back, except for one man that I did speak to. He was happy that the snow was back and was going to take the skidoo out for one last rip, but that might be cut short. this weekend. There is supposed to be some rain, and hopefully that'll wash all this snow away. Reporting live for Here and Now in Happy Valley Goose Bay, I'm Jacob Barker.
The weather update is brought to you by Belltone Hearing Service St. John's, helping the world hear better.
Well, certainly Happy Valley Goose Bay not winning the Best Weather Award tonight, although they usually, this is about the time of year where they sort of start to lap us, and then by June into July, that's when we start getting really jealous, because they've got like 26 degrees and sunshine, and we're still dealing with the RDF.
You spent, what was it, 7 years up there, so yeah, you know all about it.
The summers are beautiful up there. The winters...
long.
Yeah.
Long.
That's the best way to put it.
That's right. Highs today actually did get to 2 on the plus side in Happy Valley Goose Bay, but certainly the hot spot here across the province was the St. John's metro region at 13, 16 in Halifax and Greenwood, Nova Scotia, 14 in Fredericton. And as we look at this system, you can see the colder air that's going to be flooding into the Maritimes on the other side of this cold front, and a cooler day and a wetter day for those folks tomorrow. We're going to stay into the warm sector a little bit through tonight, through this evening, I should say, but the cold front will start to work through as we move throughout the overnight hours and into tomorrow. And so we've got some shower chances along that front, mainly for the south coast tomorrow morning, edging central and then into the Burin, the Avalon peninsulas as we move into the afternoon, up through Clarenville, the northeast coast with a few showers there as well. The snow will taper off to some flurries across Labrador for tomorrow. So again, the sun in the mix will be in the morning for the east, and then the showers roll into the afternoon. The sun will be in the mix for the afternoon in central as the morning showers clear out, and winds again will be in from the west, so a little bit cooler in those onshore winds. In Labrador, just near +1 for the coast of Labrador as the snow tapers to flurries. Should get to 4 on the plus side in Happy Valley Goose Bay tomorrow. Dry in Churchill Falls, but a chance of an afternoon flurry in Labrador City. Note as the system will slowly depart, we'll see things clearing out across the island. Weak little trough line here will keep things interesting for Friday afternoon, but I do think it stays south of Happy Valley Goose Bay, and so your forecast remains dry for Friday, clearing out quite nicely across the island. And in fact, Friday talking about sun and cloud, temperatures in the 12, 13, even 14 degree range. Again, there's that sun and cloud for Happy Valley Goose Bay at +4. Chance of flurries into Lab West thanks to this trough line, but overall very quiet there as well. As we work into the weekend, area of high pressure here, a blocking high setting up over Greenland will be favorable for us this weekend in the east, especially as this area of high pressure dominates. The one factor here, as we see the showers moving in, chances at least to the west, and this messy mix rolling into Labrador, the one thing to watch out for this weekend will be the sea breeze. Look at the setup on Saturday afternoon. It's going to be a light wind coming in from the east-northeast, all up the northeast coast into the metro region. So I think we'll see some really variable temperatures on Saturday. Right in coastal winds, east coast, talking about, I think, as cool as 5-6 degrees. I think we're talking about as warm as 15 inland for the Avalon. So I've got temperatures in metro around 10. Again, we'll really be dependent on where you are, and we'll nail down how strong that sea breeze will be in the coming days. 16 for central parts of Newfoundland, but again, cooler along the northeast coast. 12 with some afternoon showers in the west. Near 6 degrees with snow mixing to rain in Labrador City. And for Sunday, very similar setup. Sea breeze, I think a little bit cloudier in the east, and sunny breaks for central. Better chance of some scattered showers into the afternoon for the west, and showers for Happy Valley Goose Bay and eastern Labrador. And I do want to note that next week the high moves off to the north, and an onshore flow becomes more dominant into next week. And so that's why when you look at that long range, temperatures do dip Tuesday into Wednesday with more of an RDF setup for eastern parts of Newfoundland. It was Cowan who jinxed it, by the way, by mentioning RDF off the top of this weather segment. And as you can see, temperatures hanging on a little bit warmer into central parts. And there's the forecast in Labrador, turning wet for the latter half of the weekend.
Time to introduce you now to Andrew Woodford from Seal Cove, Conception Bay South. Andrew is 6 years old and plays hockey in the initiation program.
Yeah, his team is called the Timbit Rhinos. Besides hockey, he also enjoys baseball, swimming, and taekwondo.
Way to go, Andrew. You're today's Young Athlete of the Day.
Some people in St. John's are having a tough time with nowhere to live. More on the often hidden problem of homelessness. Welcome back to Here and Now. More reaction now to yesterday's homelessness report. Sheldon Pollitt is the head of Choices for Youth, an organization that deals with youth homelessness. He spoke with Here and Now's Jen White. Here's part of their conversation.
One of the things we do know from the report as well, upwards of 40% of the young people that responded moved to St. John's from other parts of the province within the last 5 years. So we are seeing, just as communities across the country are seeing, is youth in rural communities gravitating towards urban centres to escape, in some cases, the circumstances that they find themselves in, or to find supports and services. So part of the response, even though the report really talks about what's happening here in St. John's, has to be how do we support young people closer to home, in their home communities across this province, because we also know that that is, one of the best solutions that we can have for young people is keep them closer to their home communities, supported by natural supports. But when you work with homeless and at-risk young people, it also involves things like doing family work, helping understand what caused the family relationship to break down in the first place, that if you can reestablish that and get young people to return to family environments, that's step number one. That unfortunately is not true for all young people, so then you move on to what are different models of housing support that give young people as young as 16 years old an opportunity to grow into adulthood. Because one of the challenges, as I said earlier, is that by the time you turn 18 and we turn off the tap, you're an adult now, off, you're on your own, you're left to your own devices. That's not how life works for many young people anymore. So we need to support young people through the transition up to 25 years old in a healthy, stable way. Many of our young people, you have to realize, are still trying to replace the families that they've lost. And I can't tell you how important that is. Sorry.
That response made you really emotional. Can you tell me where it hits you?
Choices for Youth works with a growing number of young people every year. We're up to about 1,100 young people now annually that walk through our doors. And if you're walking through the doors of Choices for Youth, I can guarantee it's not because life is peachy and this is something to do for fun. If you come through Choices for Youth, you're coming because in a lot of cases you have nowhere else to go. That's far too many young people in our community suffering under those conditions. And I think it's going to take all of us to really change that. When you work with homeless and at-risk young people, it also involves things like doing family work, helping understand what caused the family relationship to break down in the first place, that if you can reestablish that and get young people to return to family environments, that's step number one. That unfortunately is not true for all young people, so then you move on to what are different models of housing support that give young people as young as 16 years old an opportunity to grow into adulthood. Because one of the challenges, as I said earlier, is that by the time you turn 18 and we turn off the tap, you're an adult now, off, you're on your own, you're left to your own devices. That's not how life works for many young people anymore. So we need to support young people through the transition up to 25 years old in a healthy, stable way. Many of our young people, you have to realize, are still trying to replace the families that they've lost. And I can't tell you how important that is. Sorry.
That response made you really emotional. Can you tell me where it hits you?
Choices for Youth works with a growing number of young people every year. We're up to about 1,100 young people now annually that walk through our doors. And if you're walking through the doors of Choices for Youth, I can guarantee it's not because life is peachy and this is something to do for fun. If you come through Choices for Youth, you're coming because in a lot of cases you have nowhere else to go. That's far too many young people in our community suffering under those conditions. And I think it's going to take all of us to really change that.
Well, here's a powerful tribute from an Alberta musician to 4 Chippewan hunters who went missing over a year ago. Chelsea Young dedicates this cover of Vince Gill's Go Rest High on That Mountain to those men. 2 bodies have been recovered. She says she hopes the Facebook video will bring the hunters' loved ones some comfort.
SeaWorld in Australia has welcomed 2 new polar bears to its family, and of course it's shared the adorable pictures. Just look. These Aussie cubs were born on April 26th, and if you think they look small, well, they really are. They weigh about 600 grams and are about 15 centimeters tall. Oh my goodness. It's nothing compared to the 635 kilogram and 11-foot stature they could measure up to be. The cubs haven't been named yet, but they are, aren't they? Unbearably cute.
Oh, grown.
And from babies to babies. And Eagle Watch 2017. These are the same eagles that we watch every year at Cuckold's Cove. And Perry J. Howlett says 1 has hatched, still 1 egg there, not hatched. But amazing they keep coming back to the same spot all the time.
That's wonderful. Yeah. See you all tomorrow.
Have a good night.